Ah, I'm back, and welcome to another art video. It has been about 2 weeks. Where have I been? Why haven't I been putting out anything? Videos like I promised. Where's Nightmare of Lochholt? So, the first week that I was gone and hadn't put out anything yet, I think Sky had a, I don't want to say situation, but he had a concert and they had to go to, so he couldn't make it. And we are getting to the end-ish. We're getting very close to the end of our campaign. So that's, I want everyone to be there. And obviously 2 people going up against some kind of Eldritch Horror isn't exactly going to be, fair odds, I'd say. So we decided to postpone. And then while that was happening, I was working on the video that you're watching right now, working on drawing the picture, getting that all recorded, like the whole recording process. And then the week afterwards, we had to postpone again. Because, my family came over and was fun. It was definitely nice to see them again. But also, Hayden has some pretty exciting news to tell everyone, which I'll leave it up to him to spill the beans on that. But in any case, so 2 weeks, and obviously this video wasn't just art. I wanted to do something interesting. I wanted to try out like radio drama a little bit. Like in our campaign of Nightmare of Lochholt, there's a section where they find a recording of this guy named Richard Gray, and he's like this old professor guy, and I wanted to do like my own recording of Richard Gray, but make that separate with like sound effects to make it sound like he's sitting on a bed or like walking around, just stuff like that. And I wanted to give it a shot, as well as like a radio, like an old-timey radio show that I really wanted to do. But I wrote the scripts down and I took like several takes for the first segment of it, but the family came over and I couldn't record the other half of all my lines and stuff for the radio section. And it sucks because there's like parts in there where I'm like gurgling on water to make it seem like I'm like choking on blood and stuff. And there's like a part where one of the characters lets out a scream, and obviously I can't scream while family's here. I can't scream while family's here, otherwise I'm gonna get weird faces. So it's partially my fault, because the first time we canceled Nightmare of Lochholt was really early on in the week, and I was like, yes, I get a week where I don't have to record or do anything. So I was just really lazy, but everything else was just poor circumstances. But a lot of effort went into making this particular video. I tried a lot of things to really simulate an old, like an old 80s vibe, not 80s, like an early 1920s vibe type gramophone effect for the voice, and like a 1960s radio show that I did in this video. A lot of work went into making like a under 20-minute video, which probably shouldn't have been the case, but that's just the kind of dedication that I have to making this kind of stuff. But now it's all done, and now I can actually get back to making games, which in between the time I recorded Bigfoot, I recorded more We Need to Go Deeper, which we actually got pretty far along in that. So a lot more games coming your way, a lot more horror games as well. So I think without any further ado, I'm going to leave it up to the project that I've completed, and I hope you enjoy. In any case, I'll see you guys very soon. So until then, I hope you all have a good one, folks. Catch you later.
If you're hearing this, it means something terrible has happened to me. My name is Richard Matthias Gray. I don't have much time to disclose every last detail concerning my predicament, so I will keep this brief. I am a professor of biology at Miskatonic University here in Massachusetts. Outside of my professional studies, I dedicate the majority of my time investigating the unnatural wonders of the world. Relics of a bygone era, mysterious creatures that lurk in the hidden shadows of our realm, and of the elder things that lie in the fringe of our most possible imaginations. For the last few years, my research has brought me just outside of Boston. I've been following the stories of the Birdman. Native cultures believe this beast to be an omen of death or plague. It's been seen across the world in many places, said to have the head and wings of a bird and the body of a man. In 1914, I was lucky enough to meet a British soldier who had taken a picture of the beast which hovers above the field of the Western Front in the Great War. I've left the picture and much of my research at my office in Miskatonic. The trail of the Birdman led me here. In the early 1850s, it was sighted on multiple occasions. The locals are believed to have disappeared. I was looking into it before my problems began to arise here. There is a sickness here, something I cannot explain. There is a reason why only a few souls remain after such a while, driving people away as if it were their own volition. I can see the skies begin to darken, my stomach churns, and I feel sick. There is a home here. There is a home that has remained dormant for centuries. A local news building burnt down, and any records concerning the old church and its dark history seem abnormally vacant. Something is happening here. Someone holds the answers to the sickness I'm feeling. My head throbs as I speak. I can hear someone knocking at the door. If someone should hear these words and should follow in my footsteps, heed my warning. Trust no one. There is a dark secret here that someone wants to keep hidden. Find my journal. Find the book of folklore at the library. I found it useful. I will make the house tonight. God help me.
Hey, you're listening to 17.1. I'm Henry Burke, and this is the Sinister City Radio Show, where we discuss life's strangest occurrences. I'm here with Joshua Brill, a professor of astronomy at Boston University, and hey, I gotta tell you, it's a pleasure having you here, Professor. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me. Of course. Now, I want to get right into this since I know we're a little short on time, so you mind telling me about this creature you've been after, the what do you call it? The Birdman. Right, the Birdman. So recently, folks in West Virginia have claimed to be seeing some kind of beast they say is the Mothman. It's described to be a humanoid creature, bird-like with red eyes. Now, these sound a lot like the description of your Birdman, correct? You're part of a group that was researching this sort of creature. Its last sighting was back in 1924, and are said to go back as far into the 1700s, maybe even before that. So you and this group are said to have seen it firsthand. Do you mind telling us a little bit about what it was like, and maybe tell us a little bit about it? Yes. At the time, I and a handful of colleagues had been studying strange aerial phenomena occurring above the island settlement of Wasanola, just some miles into the Pacific off of California's southern coast. Yeah, I heard about that. The whole island got hit by a record wave, they said, which swept up most of the town. That is correct. Unusual seismic activity caused a tsunami that sadly laid ruin to the small town. In our investigation, we experienced several strange occurrences, aside from the aerial phenomena which had originally drew our attention, such as a traceless fog, localized hysteria amongst the town's inhabitants, as well as a cult presence. Do you mind telling? However, nothing compared to the Birdman, whose encounter has all but shaken me to the core. Even to this day, I still have horrible nightmares and feelings of dread. Now, I don't mean to pry, and if it's too personal, you don't have to say anything, but do you mind telling us a little bit about your encounter? I cannot recall exact details, separated when we heard terrible noises, like a bird call and a man screaming at once. It was a kind of nail on chalkboard type sound that pained the ears. And then we saw it. High upon the tallest steeple, above the observation tower, it stretched its wings and soared high into the night sky. It left us with a deep-set fear, and was a precursor to the destruction that would later follow and destroy Barcelona.
Jeez, that's quite the story.
It's strange, isn't it? Spend one's life in pursuit of one of the many mysteries of this world, and to have it suddenly manifest before our eyes? Before then, its last recorded sighting was in the town of Lochholt, Massachusetts, in 1922.
Any idea what it was doing so far away from Massachusetts? It is called the Massachusetts Birdman after all.
Well, the name Massachusetts Birdman implies that it is localized in that state, which is historically inaccurate. The brand comes from a collection of sightings back from the 1850s.
Oh, interesting.
Then again in 1919 and 1922.
Huh.
Which just happened to occur in Massachusetts. It has otherwise been seen all over the country, even in other continents.
So the biggest question I have, and I'm certain many of our listeners have, is what is the relation between your Birdman and this Mothman that everyone's talking about? Is there a connection? Are they the same creature, or do you think there's a difference between them?
This is a fascinating subject, and there are a few theories that I share with my colleagues, as well as a personal hypothesis that I favor. Firstly, these two entities bear striking resemblances in behaviors and physical descriptions. A humanoid with bird wings, with glowing red eyes, accompanied by feelings of dread. And are both followed or follow disastrous events. Take the Boston flood, for example, or the submergence of Barcelona, and the most recent Silver Bridge collapse.
Oh, right.
It's coincidental that both should appear before such tragedies, or are said to. My colleagues suggest that the idea of a moth or birdman is left to the interpretation of the eyewitness. The name is less so important when you have comparative evidence, repetition, and occurrence to state that these creatures are the same.
Oh, that's interesting. Right.
But are they the same? Who is to say? We are relying heavily on eyewitness testimony. However, it is extremely coincidental and unnerving that something with the same traits is said to appear and terrorize those in West Virginia. My colleagues state it is the same creature.
It is the same creature. And what do you say, Professor? What's your idea?
My theory stems from a more supernatural approach. I was never a believer of the strange and unnatural until after surviving the Wasanola incident. Since then, my hobbies lie in the pseudoscience of cryptozoology, the study of creatures who have yet to be scientifically proven to exist. I have reason to believe the origins of the Birdman began in Lochholt, as there is only speculation and no written record prior to the 1850s that even mentioned the Birdman, or creatures similar. In 1922, evidence was found of a humanoid figure with certain bird-like features that hadn't fully developed, and had been traced back to the early to mid-19th century. This creature was found to be the result of a horrible occult ritual, for reasons still unknown. Birdman obviously has been seen since, and with more and more definitive features. I suggest between the events of the 1850s and present day, that some form of evolution would have had to occur to change eyewitness description and speculation. The bird or Mothman are not claimed to be seen at every major event, and thus far in history, I speculate those events have not to do with religious or occult presence.
So are you suggesting there are possible cults in West Virginia?
stranger things have been said. As I've stated, these are just what I think and have no scientific backing. Ah, creepy. Shucks, I think we're out of time here, Professor, but I want to give you a big thanks for coming out here and giving your thoughts on the matter. I hope we have you again here soon. Of course. Thank you for having me. Everything okay, Professor? Of course. Thank you for having me, Professor. Holy, I think he's having a heart attack. Someone!